What's up, everybody? It's Jason Cruz here again with another episode of the interview for MMA Payout, and we have a special guest today, Taylor Guardado. She is going to fight Kayla Harrison later this month, October 27th, in the PFL final. Taylor, thank you again for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
No problem at all. So I ask everybody that comes on the show, the first question is, how are you feeling?
I feel great. I'm feeling, this is the hardest training camp I've ever had, but, and I'm tired, but other than that, I feel really good.
Okay, and you are training at Extreme Couture, is that right, in Vegas?
Yes.
And you said it was the hardest training camp. How has it been as far as getting ready for Kayla Harrison?
We've made minor changes and a couple major changes as well. But as far as like a training camp goes, the intensity level stays the same, you know. We're trying to push my limits every day, and pull back on other days. But we're being very smart this time around. Everything's very, very smart and just well planned out.
Excellent, excellent. And so, did you get back in to the training camp once you won on August 19th, or did you take a little bit of time off to heal, or how was that planning with you and your coaches?
Yeah, I took like 3 days off, which is what I've essentially done this entire PFL season. Is I haven't really taken any time off because it allows my cardio to stay in the position that I needed to stay in for each upcoming fight. So I took a couple of days off just to let my body heal from the fight, from the soreness and everything like that. But then I jumped right back in it.
Gotcha, gotcha. And so, is there a certain amount of time that you wind down or taper as far as this fight goes? Are you in the taper mode yet, or are you still got another actually 1 or 2 hard weeks before you get down to actually cutting weight and all of that?
I don't actually have to cut any weight. I ended up cutting like 3 pounds maybe, but I just sleep it off really. But but as far as like the tapering thing goes, yeah, we're going pretty hard the next like week and a half or so, and then the coming fight week is when I usually take it easier.
So let me ask you a question here. So obviously, Kayla Harrison is the marquee name in PFL as far as what women's fighting goes right now. And you know, everybody, it always seems as though the odds are stacked against whoever she fights. And as far as you going into this title fight, or the final for the PFL, what do you just block all of that out? Do you take that with a grain of salt as far as her quote unquote reputation goes? What's the mindset going in?
You know, like she's earned her spot. Obviously, she's well decorated as a judoka, and then she has finished all of her fights. So I mean, like she's definitely a problem. Like it is what it is. There's nothing to take away from her. But as far as I go into this fight, it's like I'm going into a fight where I'm an underdog, which is how I've been preparing for each of my fights. I've always assumed I was an underdog, but I just am focusing on what I have to bring to the table. And I think that's where a lot of women that have fought her have made the mistake, is that they go into that fight immediately assuming they're going to be taken down, which I think I will be taken down, but it's what I can do before that takedown and after that takedown that matters.
And so, with this being the final, are you and your coaches looking more at her past fights, or you can concentrating on what happens once you go to the ground, those types of things, or is there some sort of film study that you guys are involving yourself with?
We're doing a little bit of everything, honestly. We've looked at her past fights. We've looked at tendencies that she continues to do over each of her fights. And we're just mostly just preparing myself to be the best athlete that I can when I step into that cage.
Is there any sort of not intimidation factor, but is there some sort of mystique with Kayla Harrison that other fighters you've seen gone up against her have had, and that you're trying to prepare yourself for?
Honestly, it's no, it's kind of weird. Like I think because we know so much about Kayla that I'm a lot more calm going into this fight compared to how I went into my last few fights. Actually, when I went into my last few fights, I was a nervous wreck, and then I had 1,000 things on my plate at the same time. But it was like going into this Kayla fight, I feel like oddly calm and very prepared.
And what do you attribute that to? Is it just the knowledge that this is the final fight of the season, or is it your coaches, or is it something different that you're doing aside from your this past fights this season?
I think it's a combination of all of it. It's the last fight of the season. It's my coaches have been on their game 100%. Like I can't thank them enough, and then my teammates have been there for me 100% as well. But I've been very focused as well going into this. So I mean, like it's just a combination of all the factors that are allowing me to keep my wits about me.
Cool. And so you have moved. This is your first season with PFL, and you had moved from Invicta. And so, how do you like the PFL as far as the season goes, where that you are known to get a fight so long as you win throughout? So this is actually going to be your one, two, three, fourth fight this season, and it's only October. So how do you
Mhm.
feel about the activity? Is it good, bad? Did you feel like you needed some time off, or I assume it's good since you made it all the way to the final? But how do you like
Right.
it?
Yeah. I mean, that part's great.
Yeah.
But I mean, overall, it's a very aggressive schedule. I like that I get the opportunity to fight so often because we were having a little trouble getting me a fight after my Invicta debut. But I love that it's set up in a way that you can't say no to your opponent. So that's nice to me. But I mean, like it's a little bit of an aggressive schedule because it is my fourth fight in 6 months. I am excited to take a little break after this and just kind of relax with my family for a little for the holidays and stuff like that.
Yeah, most definitely, most definitely. Do you know if you're going to be back with the PFL next year? I assume they probably want you back. You made it all the way to the finals, but has anything been solidified?
Nothing solidified yet, but we have. I've talked with my coaches over a few things, and we're going back and forth here and there, like staying with PFL and then or dropping back down to 135 and continuing to fight there.
Okay. And so now I noticed just from your record that you have an extensive amateur MMA career before you went pro. I actually spoke with Maria Henderson, Benson Henderson's wife, about her as she enters her second amateur fight. Is there an advantage or disadvantages about staying amateur before going pro that you kind of felt before you yourself did your own amateur to pro career?
I mean, it depends on the person. For me, back in like 2009 when I first started, I was very convinced that I needed 10 fights before I went pro, and I think it had something to do with my coach at the time, and just like I was like, well, I just need 10. That's a good number, and everyone agreed. So we just stuck with that number before turning pro. But I think it depends on the person and how comfortable they are, because if they've been training for so many years and they have been training with high level like athletes, and then they take like two amateur fights and win like very very well, like a knockout and like a TKO or something like that, or just two really slick submissions, um and they feel comfortable going into the pros right away, then all of the power to you. But I don't think it matters as far as how many you go. It's up to you and your coaches.
Gotcha. Very, very good. So are you originally from Vegas?
No, I'm originally from San Diego.
Okay.
And then yeah, and then I moved up to Reno, Nevada when I was like 12 or something like that, 11, with my
Okay.
family. Yeah.
Okay, and then I'm sure I missed this, but there was a little bit of lag time between you turning pro and your amateur career. Was there? Were you doing something else at the time?
Well, so I blew out my knee. Like
Okay.
everything that could have went wrong with my knee went wrong. So I was supposed to make my pro debut back in like 2012 for Invicta originally. And then I blew out the knee, and then I changed training camps and thought my knee was healthy again, and then like essentially re-blew it out.
Oh.
And then yeah, and then during the meantime of like healing and stuff is when I met my husband, and we started like we traveled a little bit, and then I got pregnant and had my son in 2018. And then yeah, back here.
Back in the gym, back in the gym. So, have you been? How has the family balance, work-life balance been for you? I'm sure, obviously, the PFL schedule is really hard at the time, but how your support staff helps you through all of that stuff with watching the kids and balancing training and diet and all that other stuff.
Yeah, my husband's like a godsend for that. He's very much taken on the full-time dad role, but he also like works part-time as well. But he very much has taken over like all the duties. He's just like, just focus on you and your training and getting through the camps and all that stuff. And then like my sister-in-law and my brother-in-law have been very helpful when I need my husband to train with me, so they'll watch our son for us, so he can come and train with me. But I mean, like, the support has been nonstop from my family, and I'm super grateful for it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And so, any trips after you win the $1 million?
Yeah, I definitely want to take my family somewhere. I don't know where. Probably like, I don't know. I've always wanted to go to like Italy or something. But,
oh, beautiful place.
But
beautiful.
I don't know. Yeah, it looks gorgeous there. Like, but I'm not entirely sure. We'll discuss it. But I definitely want to treat my family, and they deserve a break just as much as I do.
Awesome. Well, Taylor, thank you so much for your time and joining me for this little interview. Good luck, October 27th against Kayla Harrison, the final for the grand finale for PFL. We wish you luck, and we'll be watching.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Awesome, great. Thank you so much, Taylor. We'll be chatting later. See you later. Thanks a lot.
All right.
Okay, bye-bye.
Yep.